live. Bear with me, everyone. I'm writing a caption.
This was a great excuse to wear makeup, Shannon, by the way, so thank you.
All right, so we are live now. We're on Zoom and we're on Facebook Live. You are watching Coffee Side Chat, your morning cup of motivation. And I really wanted to bring on Whitney O'Connor because she has been a really big, influencer specifically in my life because of her mission and everything that I've seen you accomplish, Whitney, as well. But let me start by giving a bio of hers just so you could get to know her a little more. Whitney O'Connor is a soon-to-be 2 times breast cancer survivor, licensed therapist, speaker, and founder of the Booby Queen Company. At the age of 30, she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer and is currently being treated for reoccurrence. In the beginning of her breast cancer journey, she was also diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder that predisposes her to cancer. Because of this, Whitney gained a new perspective on what's really important in life. She strives to teach and inspire her community to celebrate through chaotic times like the queens that they are. She also helps other women and their families who have been affected by breast cancer through her business. The Booby Queen Company sells booby crowns for booby queens. For every booby crown purchase, the business donates a booby crown to a booby queen that needs some extra love. By sharing her journey of breast cancer and knowledge of mental health, the original Booby Queen is on a mission to help people create their own silver linings. And I really love this, especially in this time right now. Whitney, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yay! Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're so
Thanks for making me wear makeup.
I know, it forces me to wear makeup too. Like, you should have seen me yesterday. I didn't have any lives, nothing. And I'm like, well, this is me. Take it or leave it. It feels good to get ready though, right? I mean,
yeah, I guess, yeah.
So tell me, first of all, I did your bio, whatever. That doesn't hold weight to your voice though. Can you just tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. So let's take it back to 2017. Mm-hmm. I got a phone call that I didn't anticipate ever getting, which was from my doctor who shared with me that I have stage 3 breast cancer. This was 6 weeks after I had just gotten married, and this was a week after I turned 30. So happy birthday to me. Yeah. So because it was stage 3, we had to get going with treatment pretty quickly. So went through 6 rounds of chemotherapy, had a double mastectomy, and went on to doing hormone targeted therapy, infusions, pills, shots, all that kind of fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And what really got to me during that experience was that not everyone was having the same experiences that I was having during breast cancer. Because I had such a strong support system. I mean, I had the rock stars of rock stars support system, husband, friends, family. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was just amazing, but not everybody has that. Mm-hmm. And the thing about going through treatment in my experience was I remembered all of the fun things that my support system did for me. I remember them doing things for me that really lifted my spirits and trying to create light of the situation and all of those things. Whereas people that I found in the chemotherapy room weren't having the same experience. Some of them were alone. Some of them were hearing news alone. Some of them were going through chemotherapy alone, all of that. And so I was like, wait a second. There's more booby queens out there other than me. Mm-hmm. So how can we celebrate them? How can we do some of the things that were done for me for them? And so that's where the BB Queen company was born, and how it kind of got started. So we're very, very new. And I've been around for about, I guess, legally for like 7 months. So
Gotta throw that in there.
gotta throw that in there legally. But anyway, fast forward, I got the news that I had a reoccurrence in December of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So, got another phone call saying, "Hey, we got to do this whole cancer thing again. It's time to do it all over." So, that occurred, and that's is what's been going on. Hence my beautiful bald head.
You look
And
beautiful.
thank you,
You
thank you. I
always
shined it up for you.
oh.
So, yeah. So breast cancer happening for a second time started in December. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about I mean really that's a lot. That's a lot to take on, and I'm relating it to other people that are probably watching right now. There's a delay on Facebook. Someone said awesome topic. And thanks Stephen. And so, and anyone who's watching on Zoom, also Patty, if you have any Q&A questions for us, absolutely. And this can be specific to cancer related because this happens to many of us. We're either affected by it, by a loved one, or we are the person. And so, what are kind of like the thoughts and emotions that you were dealing with and kind of how you handle it now? I know that's a loaded question, but
yeah,
anything you want to share that might be just really insightful for someone who has been diagnosed with cancer or some illness, or has a loved one going through it too.
yeah, absolutely. Cancer has a really, really bad reputation.
Yeah.
So when the C word is even brought up, immediately people go to the worst,
Yeah.
right? And
True.
so if that happens, and obviously it happened to me, got the C word. It's all about choosing to look at it differently.
Mm-hmm.
My father actually passed away of a glioblastoma 2 years before I got diagnosed in 2017. So we went through the cancer phase with him. So I went from caretaker to patient,
Mm-hmm.
and that experience was very helpful, but also very scary because he had just passed away. So when you're diagnosed and you're going through this kind of thing, you're so overwhelmed with every emotion that your body can even, understand or
Right.
even try to understand. Sadness, fear, anxiety, um, all of those things, and then your mind and your body is trying to work it out, just trying to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that was my experience as well. When I first figured it out, honestly, the worst thing for me, when I first got diagnosed, was having to tell my family. That was awful. I had to really psych myself up, especially my husband. I mean, imagine telling your brand new husband, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
you married a sick woman instead of a healthy one. Sorry." So, and of course he didn't take it that
Interesting.
way.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's interesting. Kind of diving into our emotions and how, did you feel? And this is like, I'm bringing this one out of left field, but did you feel guilt for
Oh, for
something?
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a common emotion that a lot of people feel when they get sick because they think that it's their fault. Am I tracking the
Oh, for sure. I felt so guilty. Like, I gotta. you have to deal with your new wife, and you have to deal with all the things that come with cancer treatment. Telling my family, hey, guess what? We got to do this whole cancer thing all over again. We just dealt with my dad. Now we got to deal with you. There's a lot of guilt around that. And so I really chose to take the lead, so to speak, like a queen would take the lead during treatment, with my mood and my attitude and what I wanted and what I didn't want, because I was trying to protect the people around me from them being worried, upset, anxious, but also to protect my heart and protect my mind.
Yeah.
Because when everyone around you is freaking out and worried and anxious about it, that's only gonna come to yourself as well. And so
Yeah.
collectively, we had to come together and make a choice. Like, hey, are we going to do this the Queen's way, or are we going to do this? Are we going to freak out and just be
I
anxious and depressed all the time?
I love that. You and my mother, if you end up watching this, but she always says you need to put your big girl panties on and deal with it. And I'm like, okay, the pity party ends now.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, but it kind of reminds me, I think I can't remember who told me this, but someone who was diagnosed with cancer that I was talking to, and this was years ago, and they said that the doctor told them it's your choice to communicate with your family whether you have it or not, but sometimes the family makes it, I don't want to say worse, but makes it a lot more difficult because of the emotions they're bringing into it.
Totally.
And so I really love this topic because, again, all of us have been affected by someone, if we aren't someone who's battling cancer. And like, what is the best way that you would say for someone to, for a family member to help that person going through it?
Sure. And I say this a lot when I talk to people about this topic, and there aren't very many silver linings to cancer treatment. And so, if that's true, then you have to create your own.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I encourage families to do when they reach out to me specifically about that is, how can you create a silver lining for your loved one? How can you figure out a way to celebrate? And when we hear that word celebrate, we think it has to be this big gesture, it has to be this big party, or it has to be, we have to have balloons and streamers and all that stuff. But that's not what I mean by celebrate. I mean, finding any little thing to celebrate. This past round of chemo was particularly difficult for my legs. My legs had a hard time getting from one end of the room to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that they didn't hurt anymore, oh my gosh, we had a celebration in this house. Like, we did. It was just the two of us, but we celebrated.
It's true. You have to. You have to
Have to.
celebrate, I mean, that's what life's about. Like I always say, a big value in life needs to be having fun. It has to be. I
Yeah,
know some people are going to argue that with me, but that needs to be towards the top of the list, because what is life if you're not having fun?
totally. 100%. And, and I don't care how old you are. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can create some kind of fun somehow.
Mhm.
Even if you're laid up in the bed feeling sick. The thing about it is that was a bottom for me, right? And we all experience bottoms in our life. That's not going to be the only bottom that I experience. There's going to be something else that happens in the future. Um, so, or if that's true, there's only one way up. Like, if you're at the bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up. So, just like a roller coaster, there's ups and downs. That's life. And it's hard to really take that in when people say stuff like that. It's like, well, it's life, well, it's life. But to really understand uh, the bottoms and understand that you can make it to the top and it's going to go to the bottom again, but then it's going to go to the top. That is going to save people so much heartache, and it's going to prepare them to handle when you get that second phone call.
Yeah.
When you get that second phone call that says, "Hey, Whitney, you have cancer again." It sucks. It's not fun, and you're gonna experience all kinds of debilitating feelings. But once you figure out that it's at your bottom, then you can make steps to go to the top again. And so I know that's like a long-winded way of answering your question, but
No, you're 100% right. I mean, when you say that, it kind of reminds me when everyone has struggles, like you said, we all go through some real crap.
yeah,
And when it happens, when we're in it, we think it's the end of the world. Like it's never going to get better. And the mentality that you have that it does get better, and yeah, I mean it's something bad is going to happen again, and then you get better, and that mentality is what helps build such a strong mental mindset when you're going through the thick of it, right? I mean, would you agree that that's a,
totally.
yeah,
Totally. And because you got a few things going on. You have the physical thing that's going on, right? You're going through chemotherapy, you're getting medicine all the time that's trying to fight off this thing. Then
mm-hmm.
you have the mental mentality,
Yeah,
the mental game, and the mental battle happens with yourself,
mm-hmm.
right? And so that's what's going on. Then there's this other cloud that's hovering over you saying, "Hey, this thing could kill you, or this thing could take you down, or whatever it is." But understanding that cloud doesn't serve you at all,
Yeah,
because I could get a phone call, another phone call today saying, "Hey, Whit, that scan that you did last week, it's not looking good.
yeah,
Hey, but I can't control any of that stuff. I can't control what the scan's going to say a week from now, a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now. I couldn't control that I had a reoccurrence, right? But that focusing on that takes away from what's going on today. It takes away from the celebrations that I could have had with my husband. Like, it takes away from the celebrations that I could have made up with
yeah,
something else, worrying about something that's going to happen 6 months from now.
yeah, yeah. And we have a question that came through. So since
Sure.
negativity is such a detriment, how did you get your husband past any fear that he emulated?
Chase did a lot of work on his own to help him get through what was going on with me.
Mhm.
And he recognized that he had his own battle to face in his head. And so the read the question again, so I make
Yeah,
sure I'm answering it.
absolutely. How did you get him past any fear that he might have emulated
Okay.
in the
So
process?
get
How do
him
you,
past fear.
if I ask that wrong, please let me know.
um he did his own work, and literally we came together and had to develop a plan of how we were going to address this together.
Mhm.
Um, he is more in touch with his feelings than I am. He is teaching me about vulnerability every day, whereas I tend to hold things in. And so we had to have a blunt conversation about, hey, when we go through this treatment process, we need to figure out how we're going to be, what we're going to say, who's going to take notes, who's going to answer this phone call, how are we going to, who's in charge of this. And when we gave each other jobs, it lessened the fear and anxiety because we were on the same team,
Yeah,
rather than him over here freaking out and then me worried about him freaking out. and then neglecting my own self, that kind of thing. So,
Well, and sorry, I was just thinking like
no, go ahead.
it takes me back to what you were saying about when your family's over emotional about it, that's not helpful. And
Right.
so it's kind of like, hey, we need to sit down and here's the plan. You do this. That to me, that's probably incredibly helpful to in your situation and in other people's situation too. It's kind of like not taking emotion out of it because you don't want to take emotion out of it, but it's
Sure.
trying to keep everyone on the same path. And I
Keep
think
everyone on the same page, because it's not about him, and uh it's not all about me either. And I had to realize that this cancer was not just affecting me, it was affecting everyone around me too. And so being aware of that and compassionate about that, and you know being very verbal about my needs and how I wanted things to go. And I that's what people need to do when loved ones ask, let me know if there's anything I can do. We always say that, right? Like, let me know if there's anything I can do. Let me know if there's anything I can do. And I encourage people to just be blunt about it and say, all right, I need a list of things that need to get done. What would you like me to do on this
thank you
list?
for telling me that because when I do that with people, I feel so phony because I don't it's one of the and Whitney, I'm going to be totally transparent with you.
Sure.
It's one of those things where I'm like, do I ask to help you or do you want to have space from me? And then I don't want to be in your face at the same time. So I'm like, what like what am I?
Yeah.
It's like when someone passes away, you're like, I'm so sorry. Please let me know what I can do. And it's like you're not really gonna want to ask. You're not really gonna want to tell someone what to do,
Yeah.
especially if you're in despair or if you're feeling beat down or if you're going through grief or whatever. I really love that where you're like, I'm doing this for you, and whether you like it or not, it's happening. So,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and we had another helpful thing we implemented between me and my mother and my husband, is we had a scale, because I'm not going to say I'm a bad patient. I feel like I'm a very good patient to take care of, but I am a little stubborn.
I couldn't have imagined that.
I'm a little stubborn.
You do things your own way, which is good. You're a queen.
Yeah, I'm a little stubborn. And also, I did not want to worry my people. And so, what we did is we implemented a 1 to 10 rule. So, 10 being the worst you've ever felt in your entire life, 1 being I'm in no pain, I'm good, all of that. So every day my husband would ask me, where are we at on the scale? And I would say a 7 or a 5 or a 10 or a 1. Instead of going into a whole dialogue about what are you feeling, how are you feeling, like tell me every little element that you have, what's going on, give me all the details. That's exhausting. And so they got to know my symptoms along with me, because I was getting to know them too. And I
Mhm.
would put my symptoms on a scale to them, and they would say, oh, okay, Whitney's a 5. Okay, well, that means that she's going to be feeling this kind of way. We need to do this for her, that for her, whatever. And there was very little conversation about it once they got to know my symptoms. And so
Oh,
implementing a scale is really helpful. Like, hey, where are you at today on that
yeah.
scale? Something helpful for family.
Yeah, it seems really straightforward. How are you feeling is a pretty loaded question.
Like, right.
Am I right? When someone says, "How
Yeah.
are you feeling?" and you're like, "Where do I start?"
Yeah. Like,
You want me to
specifically,
start
what are
from
you
the beginning of
saying? Like,
my life, or
yeah. Like, feeling in this moment, how my life has turned out. What am I?
yeah, like where are we going with this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the scale is a really good idea too. And anyone watching on Facebook right now, if you have any specific questions on how to help support a loved one who might be battling cancer or any other type of illness, Or if you yourself are going through that, then please feel free. Now is your time to ask. Um, and then, Whitney, the other thing I kind of wanted to bring up too is I know that we've talked a little bit offline about those silver linings. And can you kind of share just some things that have been really helpful for you, and just make you feel good in this whole
Yeah.
process? Yeah.
Well, so Shannon, before the first time I had cancer, before I lost my hair was just as long as yours. And it was, I
Oh,
mean, it was
wow. Okay.
super long. And I have had long hair my entire life. And so I knew that losing it might make me feel some kind of way. I didn't know how, but you read stuff, you see stuff online, but I didn't know how to prepare for it really. So I decided that I want to have haircut parties.
I love that.
And
Anything.
so, we all say, especially when we all say, man, I would love to do that pixie cut, or I wish I had short hair, or I wish I would have tried, I want to try that, but I just don't have the guts to do it or whatever. And so I just found some pictures of haircuts that I've always wanted to try, and I scheduled 4 appointments for myself to get haircuts before it all fell out, and then I just shaved it. And let me tell y'all, that was so helpful. I did it last time and I did it this time. I only got 3 in this time. But
I love that.
when I started feeling anxious about it and whatever, I just said, you know what? I'm going to try to do some fun haircuts that I would never do on a normal basis, and let's do them right now. And took pictures and had fun with it. So that's one thing that I did that people can do. Try on
I
some
love that.
different haircuts.
Yeah, that's really because you're right. I mean, I think there's no better time. I mean, that's just I love that. So everyone, haircut parties.
Do it.
Yeah.
Have someone come to your house. I had a good friend that cuts hair come to the house twice um, to cut my hair. And shaved the sides, had a rock star kind of cut,
Mhm.
did a cute little pixie cut, that kind of thing. What else did I do? I did my sister-in-law's did a makeover for me. I was not looking good at all, but I really wanted to have a henna tattoo on my head. And so my one of my sister-in-law, who's very very creative and she draws really really well, she came over and spent some time and did this elaborate uh, henna tattoo on my head. And listen, the hint, like this spoiler, but it actually didn't end up being henna. It actually ended up being eyeliner because the henna wasn't working. So when we did it, and we were like, you know what, let's just get some eyeliner. It's fine. So
Just
so she got
slap some eyeliner on it. We'll be good.
whatever, who cares. And so she did that, and then my other sister-in-law just so happens to be a photographer, and so we did this whole fun photography session. Now not everyone has a makeup artist and a photographer in their family. I just so happen to have that, but you don't need that. I mean, have a girlfriend come over and watch a YouTube video on how to do a henna tattoo, and then get your fancy iPhone out and shoot some pictures and put some filters on it.
Yeah.
It's just thinking outside of the box and not treating it as a time of illness, but treating it as a time of how can we celebrate? How
Yeah.
can we make the best of the situation?
And like what came to my head is a time of variety. Like what are the things that maybe you wouldn't have done 6 months ago, but like you can do now because it makes more sense and it's fun and you're like, well, screw it. I'm going to do it anyways. And that I really love that finding those like small silver linings in this situation. And I mean, really, and here, I guess this is the other question that came up for me is do you feel your experience the first time around, do you feel like you're more mentally prepared the second time around, or has it been kind of the same for you?
That's an interesting question because I feel like for me that this time uh was different than last time as far as my mental game.
Okay. Okay.
Um physical, I was prepared. I knew what it was going to feel like. I knew the pain that I would be in. I knew how sick I would be, all of that, because I already did it. And so I was prepared for that. But as a survivor, and this is a thing that a lot of people just don't know, but as a breast cancer survivor, there's a lot, treatment never ends. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
You're on hormone pills, you're having hot flashes every 5 seconds, and it doesn't end. And so I was dealing with that as well as this reoccurrence, and now being on medicine again. So I had to really do some different kind of work for my mental health,
mm-hmm.
finding ways to address the anxiety that I was experiencing, and figuring out different mental tricks that I could do to help me get out of that bad headspace.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is, this time around it was deemed as stage 1, so it wasn't as serious as the last time.
Mm-hmm.
But with your hormones going all over the place, with, you have, it's inconvenient. Cancer is
It
inconvenient.
is. It's like if it was a person and I had permission to beat up a person until the ground, I would have no problem doing that. And you're right. You're right. It's just
Yeah, it's inconvenient. And
treat it like
so,
an inconvenience, even though it's not. But the mentality of taking it that way, I think has probably been pretty helpful for you, right? I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
for sure, for sure. And listen, I am not Miss Rainbow and Sunshine all the time. Okay, I
yeah,
don't.
you're
I
human.
have. Yeah, I'm definitely a human, and that I had to give myself some grace because I'm a licensed therapist. I think a lot of people would assume that because I have those tools, I can just, whip them out anytime and then I'll be ready. But that's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
We don't do self-care and learn these tools for when things are good. We learn all these things for when they're bad.
Yep.
And then that's when we pick them out and use them. And so I can never avoid not feeling anxiety or depression or what's going on. But what I can do is I can have courage to take my hits when they come and stand back up and say, hey, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to try again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I operate now. Is I'm going to get some hits, but being a breast cancer survivor, being a breast cancer warrior, all of those things, whatever you want to call it, being able to get back up and say, all right, I took a hit, now I'm ready for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it rolls for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that because it's like, it's one of those things where with anything in life, and anyone who's watching this can be used for anything in life. Like when you get knocked down, you just you put your big girl or big guy panties, whatever panties you wear,
Manny's, your
your
Manny's.
pull them up and you say, I'm going to move on. Like
Yeah.
this is,
You might be going through a global pandemic and you might have to just say,
yeah, they're, like you said, like I just commend your mindset so much because I know that I used to be the type of person who would just sit in the corner and not verbally, but in my headspace, I'd be like,
sure.
God, this happened to me again. And I'm sure those are feelings that you work through, especially with the second time. And that's totally normal to go through that process. But then I think, like, at what point where you have to be like, okay, I gotta get up, I gotta do this. And your mental capacity and getting through all this has just been remarkable for me to watch, from knowing in December and hearing your story from December and seeing you now has just been like really eye-opening for me, because I'm like, I need to put my freaking big girl panties on and deal with my crap. Like, and that's what you do. Like if you're, I know for a fact, if you're inspiring me to do it, you're inspiring other women to do that as well. And I just kind of want to lead into what are some things that you're doing now, if you want to talk about booby crowns, or if you have one nearby. I don't know if you do, but and we can
Maybe.
talk about it because I really want to share your story and how it's helped a lot of women so far.
Sure, sure. And so with this queen mentality, I sell booby crowns uh, to women going through this process or survivors because, like I said, the treatment doesn't really ever end. Um, and it's more of a mindset as well. So, I mean, we put on our crowns, right?
So everyone, this is a booby crown, by the way.
Hey, and listen, you can laugh. I give you permission to, because it's
No,
funny.
I love it. I need to get one, actually. I love it. I
I
do.
mean, look at the detail.
Yeah, and that's handmade. Is that handmade? I'm
It
assuming.
is. It is. And you
What?
know, so we put on our booby crowns, right? And the whole point of this is to tap into our inner queen,
Mhm.
but also to get silly and not take ourselves so seriously. Um, and celebrate like queens do. Queens are regal, they're powerful, they stand strong, they
Mhm.
when there's chaos around, they are the calmest person in the room. They're not dismissing the chaos, they're not minimizing it, but they have control over what's going on in their head and can make sense of it.
Yeah.
And they also can delegate. Queens delegate. So when queens are not feeling like they can be their best self, then they need to delegate. And that's when I call, the booby king in and get him going on some stuff, And so that's the whole point of these crowns, is to provide not only like a fun thing that you can laugh about, but also a mindset of, hey, let's put on our crowns and let's walk this thing. We might be walking through some troubled waters, but we're gonna do it, and we're gonna keep our crowns and hold them high, and no matter what, we're gonna do that today.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so and that's really what they're about, and they're one for one. So when you buy one, I donate one. So I've partnered up with some folks in the community where they help me identify different women that don't have a whole lot of support during this time.
Mhm.
And they help me identify them, and then I box them up and give it to them, and they give it to those BB queens.
Yeah.
And so everybody wins. Everybody
Mhm.
wins. Um,
Yeah.
so
When I think of the crown in general and kind of what you said it stands for, to me it just helps someone, a physical thing which I find amazing can help someone tap into who they truly are at their nature, who
yeah,
they want, not who they aren't, but who they truly are, like
that's
saying,
right.
hey, this is fun, like it's okay to release and just be yourself and be vulnerable the times you need to be vulnerable, but remember you're a queen and you got this. And if you feel like you don't, delegate that crap, because that's what a queen would do in any given situation. So I think that's the message behind it is really great too. So let's just say that someone listening wants to buy, they know someone who's going through breast cancer, or they just think the crowns are really cool and they want to,
Yeah, you just want one, wear
or
around
they
the
just
house.
want one, to have one. Where would they buy one? And where can they find you also, just to get your motivation and your story? And I know that your social media is amazing too, because you share your story all the time and it really is uplifting. Just details about yourself and where you can find the crowns.
Yeah, so you can go to bbcrowns.com, and my information is there, background on what we're doing, what the business is, how it's set up. You can go to the crown shop on the website, and you can buy a BB crown there. And when you do buy a BB crown, it'll send me a notification, and I'll send you some pictures of what I have. Because of the lovely pandemic, supplies and materials to make my normal set of booby crowns has been limited. And so the supplies that I do have and get in, that I'm able to get in, I make specific ones for that. And so I'll be in contact with that person. We'll pick out some crowns and I will deliver them to that booby queen. And then when you buy one, I donate one. So I'll then make another one and give it to someone that needs to be reminded of the queen they are. So that's you can follow me on Booby Queen Chronicles on Instagram. You can my Facebook page, the Booby Queen Company, and see what we're up to. Because I really really believe in this mission, and I'm really excited. I never thought that I would have a business where I would promote people to wear bras on their heads, but I mean, come on.
There's no time like the present.
I mean, honestly, if this isn't a girl that's going for her dreams, I don't know what is. You know?
Well, and anyone who's watching too, she has different colors and
Oh yeah.
I've seen pictures of all your different types of crowns, but it's kind of funny the way life leads us in a different direction, and I can tell you're having fun with this.
Oh yeah. This is way more fun than dealing with actual cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
that other thing.
Yeah, that other thing that I have going. When people ask me how are you doing or how are you feeling, sometimes I forget. Like honestly, I'm like, oh yeah.
Someone said lies. You always wanted that business.
That's probably one of my best friends.
I always wanted a business surrounded around boobs.
Boobs. See, I even have a boob necklace. I'm just obsessed.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So wait, it's BOOBIE crowns.com.
Yes.
Okay, I'm putting that in the chat box on Facebook.
Yes, boobycrowns.com. I have this is
wait. Someone else put, I'd love to see your husband's crown. But hey, no, actually, I do have a question, and I don't want to lead us down a whole different path where I could talk to you all day long. Do you make manly type crowns? Let's just say for the husband, the brother, whoever to support. Do you have the man version yet or in the future?
So I've only made one man crown. But once I made that, I have this other idea down the road. Once this gets going, I really want to make booby crowns for the family.
Okay.
Even kids, because I think having that mentality around the whole family that we're going to support our booby queen and we're going to watch her walk the red carpet through this thing, regardless of what happens, we're going to figure out ways to celebrate right now. That is my goal, to have a booby queen family crown selection. So stay tuned.
Okay. No, I mean, big things are happening over here. And they're made with love. She makes them and sends them out. I mean,
I do. Yeah. And Chase does help me, and he is very particular about how his crowns are constructed. And so it takes him a while to work on them. So that
thing is, when I order a crown, I would need to request Chase to make mine.
Listen, if you did, you would get it 3 months from now.
Oh.
But I love that he is so supportive. I could go on, I mean, we could have a whole segment on just him, but he is really amazing. And for him to choose to support me with a business where I'm creating booby crowns, a lot of men would think that's ridiculous. They would think that that's silly. They wouldn't be on board with that. But he does it unapologetically, and it doesn't matter that it's a booby crown. It matters that it matters to me, and that, is all I could ask for. So, um, yeah, he gets really into the booby crown stuff.
Yeah, good. He should. No, but that's really amazing. And the support system is key here. And I really love how you took something, a situation in your life that is and was unfortunate, and turned it into a force for good to help other people. I love seeing that you stood up and was like, I'm a queen and this is the way it's gonna go. And this is how I'm choosing. You use the word choice a lot. I've
Yeah.
noticed in our set in our talk, and it's the choice that you make on how you look at the world and your situation, and you've made a great choice. It's not easy, and I know
God,
and emotions, but it's really powerful, what you've done out of this. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So anyway, now that before I start crying because I'm really emotional, human being, anyone who knows me. If you are wanting to go in, I actually put in the chat box of the Facebook Live, theboobycrowns.com. It has all the information there. And if you want to buy some crowns, if you want to send them out, Christmas gifts, whatever it is, breast cancer walks. I mean, that's actually another great place to.
Oh yeah, girl, we're gonna blow out the Miracle Walk. Hopefully, if we have it in Augusta, it's a big one here. It's gonna be fun. I hope to see my BB crowns everywhere so that we
Yeah,
can
you
all.
will. I have no doubt because it's a great mission and it's a great reminder for people. So anyway, go on to the Booby Queen Company website, or you can find her on Instagram at Booby Queen Chronicles. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and have a great rest of your day. And everyone, do not forget to find those little silver linings throughout your day.
Please.
There we go. All right, bye everyone. Have a good